Hi everyone. I am here to talk to you about your second to last week of the semester. You're almost done. I graded your last reading responses, and I continue to be impressed with how well you guys have engaged with the readings throughout the course. That is really the bulk of the content that you got. And so I've just really been impressed with you kind of diving into that and really getting a lot of social studies pedagogy content from those readings. So great job, everyone. You are almost there. You are almost done with the semester. And today I'm going to focus on your one assignment for the week. We're almost there. All right, so what is left for the course? You are going to do a unit plan. However, I have really significantly modify that unit plan down to just be a unit plan overview. And so that's what I'm going to talk about today. And then the last week of the semester is just like a really short week. It's a half week. It's, it'll go from Sunday to Tuesday really. And so I have a very small assignment for you that week called the Pinterest project, but I will talk about that next week. You're welcome to start working on it if you want to work ahead of time. But for this video, I just want to focus on the unit plan to get people ready for this week. And then for final exam week, I'm going to give you guys two options. One is to do the final exam that I already had planned. The second is to, instead of doing the traditional final exam, which would be like short to semi-long answer questions, the second option would be to do an exit interview with me during WebEx. I'm really excited that I'm going to be your professor for 3600 in summer session 1. And so I really would love the time to just get to know you a little bit better and to kind of talk through what you learned this semester, what things worked for you, what didn't, before we go into summer session 1. So that's one of the reasons I'm doing the exit interview as an option instead of the final exam. There is a sign-up sheet on Canvas under the final exam module where you can sign up for an exit interview with time with me. If you really want to do an exit interview and none of the open slots work for you, just go ahead and contact me and we'll try to work something out, okay? All right, so today we're going to focus just on the unit plan and what you guys are doing for that. So you shouldn't think of this as a whole new assignment. You should think of this as kind of bringing everything together that you've been working on with your curriculum groups throughout the semester. So teachers, as you probably know, teachers don't necessarily plan out huge long lesson plans like you guys have been planning out. They plan differently. They think as a whole unit, and then they think about what lessons they need to do to support that unit to get students to do maybe a final project at the end. And so this is a IDM blueprint, which is a way of designing an inquiry unit for social studies. It was created by the same people who created the C3 framework, which you read a lot about this semester. So with your curriculum planning groups that you've been working with all semester, I want you to bring it all together, what you've been working on, and show how it would look like as a unit planned out together, okay? So that means you're gonna take your compelling question. If you like your compelling question from your text set, you can keep it. If you wanna modify it as you've learned, how compelling questions work and how lessons support those compelling questions, you can modify it a little bit, but it should be on that same topic that you've been working on the whole semester. All right, you're going to find the main standards that you will be supporting in this unit. And remember, we're thinking about a whole unit here. And then you're going to write a little bit about staging that question. Why is that question important? What content are we going to cover? Kind of like your content section for your lesson plan, but you're going to think about it as a whole unit now. Also talking about how could I pre-assess student learnings, similar to kind of how you thought through it maybe earlier in the semester. So could I do a quick, quick write with students, or how could we get at the pre-assessment? I'm going to tell you that the rubric is really detailed for this assignment. And so if you go into Canvas and you look at the rubric, it will tell you exactly what you need to have for each section to get full points, okay? So these down here then become your lesson plans. You're not putting a whole lesson plan on here. This is your unit plan. So since this is an inquiry unit and we're thinking about what big inquiry question can we answer, each lesson is going to represent one of those supporting questions that we can then support the compelling question with. And you all already made inquiry units. So if you're in a group of 3 or 4 people, you already have this done. You have a supporting question for that lesson. And then you have some kind of assessment that you had them do, a task that you had them do to show that they could answer this question. And you had some featured sources, hopefully, that you had them investigating, whether they be primary documents, whether they be a children's book read aloud, whether they be some current event articles, okay? So you're really just putting the main parts of your lesson plan in there. So this would be lesson 1, this would be lesson 2, and this would be lesson 3. For those of you that have 4 people in your group, I think there's just one group, there is a 4 question option, and I'll put that template up as well. So whenever we're thinking about curriculum planning, we also want to think about what do we want students to be able to do at the end of this unit? What should they be able to do to show that they can answer this compelling question? And so this down here is what represents your unit assessment. So what do you want students to be able to do with their knowledge? So do you want them to be able to make a public service announcement? Do you want them to be able to make a brochure? Do you want them to be able to make some kind of other performance assessment? That would go in argument, and then extension would be how you are going to extend that learning for kids who are really high flyers. So how are you going to extend it for kids who maybe need to do even a more higher order thinking than what you're offering in that normal assessment? And then, as we read about for the semester, social studies is always about taking civic action as citizens. And so down here, you're going to write about how could the students use what they developed in this inquiry unit and take some kind of action outside the classroom. So what could they do in the school? What could they do in the community related to this new knowledge that they've constructed throughout this unit? Okay, so the template is on Canvas. You guys are going to work together this week. I'm guessing it maybe will take you, 1 to 2 hours. Really, if you do the top and the bottom part together, you each individually can fill in your supporting question lessons. I don't think it should take too long. You shouldn't have to research anything new. It's really just putting it all together, what you've developed for your individual inquiry lessons. Now, if your lessons didn't really jive together very well, you might need to do a little bit of brainstorming about how could we make these support a bigger inquiry lesson, each of our individual lessons and supporting questions. So you might have to do a little bit of brainstorming to get it all to flow well together, but I think it should be a fairly easy task. It is much, much easier than the original unit plan that was up there. I'm not sure if any of you guys got a chance to look at that, but that's a really detailed unit plan where there's lots of differentiation. You have to do all the lesson plans, and so I think this is a better format. I think, people are really stressed, and I want to make sure that people are able to be successful with the time that we have left. And I actually think that this is maybe a better assessment because this is how teachers actually do plan. Teachers don't write, 20-page unit plans. They plan more like this in an overviews. Okay, please make sure as your group is working that you are consulting the rubric on Canvas. If you want to learn more about the inquiry design model and where it came from and more examples of it, you can go to this, you can actually just Google like IDM C3 teachers, but I'm going to show you the website right now. It'll come up. And this is a great resource for when you guys are practicing teachers as well. So the inquiry design model, there's more information about it here. There's different templates, but you can also go in and search inquiries that are already made from teachers all over the country. So you can look at, say, let's look at 4th grade. You can actually see what inquiries there already are that people have made for that. So let's see, what's one? So I know some of you are doing slavery. So let's look at what the slavery in Kentucky one did. And then they have it all written down, like formative tasks, what sources can you use? So this is what it looks like. And if you download the PDF, it actually shows what their blueprint looks like. So this is actually what you guys are creating, just like this. But you're not doing anything else. You're just doing the overview right here. Okay. And again, you want to consult the rubric because I've been pretty specific. There's some things about our program, our teacher ed program, that we want you guys to have before you go into senior 1. And so there are some additional things, such as in staging the question, that I want you to put in that these teachers who created these might not necessarily have put in, but there are a ton of great examples for you to see how this might all be be able to put together. And then when you're a teacher and you've got your curriculum for the year, you can actually go in here and find really awesome curriculum that's already done that is inquiry based rather than textbook direct instruction based. All right, so let me X out of there. I've also put in this slideshow a link to another inquiry unit that one of my colleagues did from Auburn. It's a really brilliant one, actually, and it's super timely because it's about the pandemic. So this is an inquiry that you could do with elementary students about public good during a pandemic. And so the big compelling question for the unit is, how do we make decisions for the public good during a pandemic? There's a description here that would kind of be like the staging the question. It talks about, good ways to analyze resources. But then, oh darn it, where'd it go? Well, that's not right. I'm gonna have to load it again. So then she goes through each question. Question 1 is, what can we learn from responses to the 1918 influenza? Question 2 is, what are present day responses? And then she has sources, and of course a learning task for each supporting question. So if you're interested in all of that, I know I've been trying to teach my kids quite a bit about pandemics and kind of times of crises in the past, to think about how kids and people today can respond. How can we learn from history to respond to what's happening today? But I just really loved this example, so I wanted to share it with you. And the link is in the PowerPoint, so if you want to explore it more, you definitely can. And then there's her taking informed action below. So this is a great example for you to look at as well. It doesn't have the actual template that we're using, but it has almost everything that would go in there. So I wish I could ask you about any questions you have. One thing that I know I'm going to do next semester for 3600 or in summer session 1 is I am going to have weekly meetings with you all. I can't require you to come to them at a certain time, but I can record them and then have them for people to watch later. I think that was something that was really missing in our semester this time, is just a chance for you to be online together with me rather than just the videos where I'm just talking at you. And so we will be setting up a time each week to meet during summer session 1 for sure, to make sure we're keeping everybody on task, and I'm making sure to address questions that you all are having or frustrations that you all are having. All right, the last thing I want to talk about is it's Earth Day this week, and Earth Day is often part of our science curriculum, but people don't often think about it as part of our social studies curriculum, but it is. And so I want to encourage you to think about ways to celebrate Earth Day, to be good global citizens. One organization that I absolutely love and is very near and dear to my heart, I'm on their board, is called H2O for Life. I did this program as a teacher with my students. H2O for Life is a service learning organization, and it provides curriculum materials for teachers, and it also provides opportunities for schools to partner with schools around the world to support their water and sanitation needs. So what I did with my students is we actually learned about the water crisis in the world, learned how many people don't have access to clean drinking water each day, how sick they get from that it's often the young girls who actually are taken out of school so that they can go get water, and they have to walk many miles each day. So we learned about that, and then we raised money for a school in Kenya. We actually did it 2 years in a row. One for a rain catchment system and one to build a well. And H2O for Life organizes that all for you. They're a wonderful nonprofit organization. So I always like to share about them with my students because they have a lot of great curriculum, but they also just do really great work. So this Wednesday, my daughter and I, for Earth Day, are going to do a walk for water ourselves. We're going to walk a mile carrying a bucket of water and raise money for H2O for Life. So there is a link in this PowerPoint as well about H2O for Life. You do have to set up a username and password, but everything's totally free. They've got science curriculum, they've got math curriculum, they've got social studies curriculum, and they do a great job of integrating those things. And then if you ever wanted to as a teacher, your class could find a partner school that you would want to have as your kind of sister school that you were helping with a water project. All right, so I'm just about out of time. I hope this was helpful for you. Ask me any questions, email me if you have any questions about that inquiry design unit. Like I said, I would set up a meeting about 1, maybe 2 hours with your team. If anybody really wants to do it totally alone, they can. but I would prefer you work with your team because it's a lot less work for you. So thanks everyone. Have a wonderful week, and I will touch base with you again next